Greetings, fellow battle dwarves. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to the very first episode of a new series playing Dwarf Fortress called Cryptguards. If you want more information about this series, it can be found in the description of the video. And if you'd like to skip the introduction, please use YouTube chapters. Episode 1, Where Evil Lurks. I create a new world, and I set Savagery on very high, number of beats on very high, because I am suicidal, sites and civilizations on high, and just generate a world. So that's pretty much the settings. It's medium, 100 years, high, very high, and everywhere. So as a result, we're going to have tons of beasts, really high savagery, and I just generated enough worlds in order to find one with a terrifying biome next to a necromancer tower. And as you can see, it took me a few attempts. Had to generate a whole lot of worlds in order to find one that fulfilled that requirement. So loading back into the game, I have not really let any time pass at all. I also haven't looked at the game file. I haven't explored the biome or anything like that. I've just seen what you've seen here, which is that I have a very good starting position, sort of in the basin of a valley, of a mountain. We are way, all right, let me start hiding these. Way in the southeast, there are some elven forest retreats to our east. There's this, of course, human necromancer tower to our north. And I did prepare carefully to be able to custom design these starting dwarves. So here they are. A miner, a woodworker, a mason, a metalsmith, a farmer, the expedition leader, and a peasant. This peasant, I believe, has combat skills. Yes, a hammer dwarf. Just is currently being called peasant. I didn't change too much of the other equipment that we start with. So it's pretty typical, you know, iron, anvil, rum, pigtails, buckets, splints, wheelbarrows, so on and so forth. And I didn't really name anything, although honestly I probably should have in hindsight, but oh well, we're gonna have a random name. I meant to be called the Cryptguards. So the TLDR of this series is that we are an expedition team trying to set up a military outpost to stem the tide of the undead from the Necromancer Tower. We're set up in a hot, sort of nasty and dead biome, and you can hear from all the ambient noise that I will probably have to turn down that we are in a lot of trouble. I also haven't really played a lot with the hard biomes, so this will likely get very interesting. So let's immediately start by assigning some administration and nobility. So our expedition leader, let's take a look at him so that we know. The expedition leader is an adequate appraiser, organizer, and record keeper. Rude, envious, not ambitious. Oh boy, they sound wonderful already. At least they're empathetic a little bit. They have speaking skills, appraising, organizing, record keeping skills, and we are going to give them the broker and manager, bookkeeper, and that is probably it for now. I don't necessarily need a militia commander just yet. Then some of the other labors that we're going to want to assign. Start hiding these. For miner, I am going to allow the mason to mine as well. I started with 2 picks, so we should have picks for 2 miners. And I'm only going to allow the 2 miners to mine and nothing else, because we're going to want to set up sort of the start. Woodcutter. He's going to be assigned to woodcutter only. The reason being that I bet we're going to have to turtle up considerably. And as a result of having to turtle up and hide until we have at least a bit of a military force to be able to defend ourselves, I need to get the wood that's out there ASAP, because we're going to lose access to that pretty early on. Now, I could do some plant gathering, but I don't think that there's really alive plants anywhere. So I'm not going to really worry about that. And here's what I think I'm planning on doing. I am going to dig pretty much straight into this mountain here. And that will be the entryway. And it's going to be a particularly long entryway. Because I have a sort of a design concept in mind, and a long entryway will help with that design concept. So I don't know how long that is. I didn't measure, but that's what it's going to be. Then let's go ahead and start cutting down trees. Unlike my last series, I'm not going to be too worried about specifically what I make stuff out of tree-wise. I don't care. So my point being, you know, whatever wood that we pick for like beds or cabinets, or I have no consideration about the specific types. All I care is that we cut down a whole lot of trees as rapidly as we can, because the elves are probably going to be happy, but basically I fully expect to lose access to the trees pretty early on. So all the trees that are immediately around the base are getting tagged for removal. The other problem is that I'm going to struggle to store them, but whatever. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. All right, let's unpause. We already have some questions about the game. Can you start with necromancers? I don't know. And am I planning on removing the outside ramps to keep the dead from coming upstairs? That's not even like a consideration that I have. Because, you know, I don't know what you mean by upstairs. Just wait to see how things are laid out, is I guess my answer to that. All right, let's put the 2 animals that I have in a temporary pasture out front, and then just keep digging. So this is cavern floor, and because it's cavern floor, you know that when I break into the cavern level, it's going to start sprouting random stuff. We're also starting to get fire clay as well. It's not generating stones, but that's actually good, beneficial, as far as I'm concerned. And the plan is to put a trade zone here, so that neighbors can still trade with us, although I have no idea why they would even want to show up to our map tile, because it sounds awful. But they're allowed. We'll be allowed to. All right, then from here, we also have to do some sort of brainstorming, right? So I have a long hallway here as a way to detect enemies in advance, and then to close off the entryway, probably with long bridges, if anything. If this is the trade zone, I'm also going to want military barracks nearby, or at least military stationed nearby. But we're also going to want to bring in stockpiles of stuff pretty early on. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a hallway here, but in this location, in this spot, I'm going to dig stairs down and put a general stockpile underneath the trade one, so that we can start hauling all the stuff in the wagon in, and then haul all the wood in as well, because we're going to want the wood inside, because if the wood's outside, that's well, that's going to be a problem. They're complaining there's nothing to catch here. I don't even want a fisher dwarf to be fishing, so that's fine. And then I will start to create a large general storage room underneath the trade room in order to accommodate the stuff that we're going to have. I'm also sort of curious what stone levels will be down here. Looks like limestone, so we already have a flux stone. Oh, here's even limestone up here. Well, terrific. All right, looks like everybody else is sort of sitting around right now. So pretty soon, I suspect they're going to be hauling stuff in. What is my woodcutter working on? Because they should be woodcuttering. Urish. No job? I might not have an axe. Noted. That's going to be something I have to address pretty immediately. Got it. So much for preparing carefully. More like prepare recklessly. Alright, I'm going to put all in here, minus corpses and refuse. For now. It's not properly set up, but I'll set that up even better later on. And if we don't have metal tools, that's one of the things I'm going to want to get pretty early on as well. So let's break down the wagon and get some basic industry going. So it looks like most of the water is in the north half of the map. Not too concerned about that, because I'm sure there will be caverns of water below us. I thought I did start with an axe. Warhammer... No, I guess not. They are right, and I am wrong. So from here, if this is going to be sort of a general stockpile room, what I will do off of the center of this room is to create hallways to other industries. So I'll have this go sort of up in the cardinal directions, and this will link to carpentry and to stone cutting, and then eventually to metalworking and the like. Do I have any aquifers? I do not. No. There's no light or heavy aquifer on this map. Alright, so let's expand this so that we can store more stuff. We don't have a ton of stuff, but I want to bring it all inside. Because again, I'm likely going to turtle up. And then another thing that I want to set up pretty early on is farming, so that we can have sustainable crop without having to risk outside. And it looks like we're already starting to mine metals, so that's really useful. And clay. Calcite. There was fire clay up here. Yeah. So let's make the decision and say I'll set up some basic industries. So this will be like stone and wood. And then I'll do metal on the other side. Here we go. And then probably farming up to the north. Definitely getting some good stones. I don't think that the animals that we brought in are going to last very long, if you know what I mean. I think they'll be butchered pretty early on. All right. So maybe actually the first quarter that gets mined out, I'll just have as the startup industry. In fact, I'll encourage it. I'll say, hey, let's make this 3s. And then we'll have carpentry and stone cutting pretty early on. The other thing I'm going to want is next to the farm, I'll probably want to set up food, dining, and cooking. So that's to be due. So we can start to plan that out. So if this hallway goes a little bit further, let's say, and I'm going to have this back up as a 4. I will have 2 separate farms, let's say. And then 2 larger zones for cooking and brewing. And then dining rooms, like a general dining room barracks setup. It's going to be really crude. And the reason it's going to be, like, well, crude is the wrong word, but it's going to be really simple. And the reason it's going to be really simple is because there's threats that are great, and I need to be ready for those threats. So getting really nice things is sort of not something that we particularly have time for, necessarily, which is why I'm, designing fast and not thorough. Do I prefer growing my own cloth or using penned animals for leathers? I don't really care. I don't have a preference about that. All right, first workshop. Let's go with, probably not carpenter, because we don't really have any wood just yet. So I'm going to go with stoneworking up here. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. I don't know exactly how much time I have until greater threats start to arrive. So that's another thing to consider. So I'm also going to want to get a smelter and a blacksmith forge up relatively soon too. For this stoneworker table, let's start with some work orders, I suppose. And I'm going to make a rock table. We will make 1 rock table when rock tables is less than 5 and rocks are greater than 5. And then we'll do the same with thrones, so we can start to have places to eat. Rock throne. I can also specify the material. Wouldn't hurt. All right. 1 rock throne when it's less than 5 and the rock is greater than 5, and also make this out of microcline. How many biomes are there? I don't know. Use the wiki. I'm not an encyclopedia, so if you have questions that pertain specifically to, like, encyclopedic knowledge of the game, you're best off just consorting the game's encyclopedia, the DF wiki. Sorry. So over here, what we wanted was probably a metalsmith. And I'll put that up north. Again, with the microcline. And then we're also going to want some sort of smelter. There we go. Now, the real question is whether or not I'm going to find... Oh, we already have some Bitu coal. Perfect. That was my concern, whether we'd find bituminous coal or not. So we already have something to do with that that initial anvil. So we'll get that in position in a minute. You're probably referencing this here or something. that there was one extra mine there. I don't really care about the design. I'm not trying to min-max it. It's not trying to be aesthetic. It's not the purpose of this series at all. So, smelter's coming together. The Metalsmith Forge is coming together. One of the first things that we're going to probably want to forge up once we have smelted metals is an axe. So, we're going to probably use the initial Bloodthorn wagon logs in order to make some initial coal to then process the Bitu coal for even more fuels. So let's go ahead and make space for the wood furnace. There we go. Wood furnace is coming together. And the tables and thrones are getting done. Cool. All right, let's take a quick look at the surroundings. So we have a bunch of elephants. Interesting. They're not so savage. Noble creatures, if you ask me. All right, wood furnace is good. So I'm going to make charcoal repeatedly with the bloodthorn that I have, and then we'll turn that bloodthorn into charcoal, which will then allow us to process bituminous coal. And we're starting to strike hematite, so that'll be good for iron. Carpenter's workshop's going to stay empty for a while, I suspect. And then something else I could do is, in this position, I can mine down stairs for storages that are specific to the workstations. And let's also start to get a farming going. So we'll do farm plots here as well. All right. Now that we have a little bit of charcoal, I'm going to make coke from bituminous coal and put that on repeat. All right. With a little bit of bituminous coal processed, then I'll be able to start smelting hematite, or actually probably initially tetrahydrate, because I wouldn't mind copper axes. I don't want to waste the iron making iron tools. And we'll start planting plump helmets. We'll just keep planting plump helmets continually. There's some other to be done initial colony setup stuff. The sort of standing orders. So let's change some of the standing orders so that we aren't suicidal, right? Because there's a lot of standing order basics that are going to be a bit of a problem if we don't. So some of the initial standing orders that need to be changed is don't automatically collect webs, because once we crack into the caverns, you don't want to go running in there until it's safe. For hauling, that's fine. Refuse dumping, for now, it's fine. I might change that. I am going to forbid using forbid used ammunition during sieges. for now. And then I am not going to bother with none hunted dead. I don't want to go chasing dead things all around the map. For chores, I don't have any children, so it's kind of moot. And then only farmers will harvest. And oh, I didn't mean to click off of that. But for now, I will allow them to go to drinking and fishing places of their preference, but eventually we might lock that down. For plump helmets, I don't want to cook with it. I only want to brew with it. And don't use seeds in any way like that. Good. Okay. That's some decent starting work orders, I think. All right. Another initial structure that we're going to want is the trade depot. And I'll make this out of bauxite. Why not? So let's check our stockpiles. We have, to make sure that I know how much, like coal and whatnot I've got. It's got a little bit of charcoal. So yeah, we haven't really done a whole lot of that smelting. No, I have a little bit of coke. Okay, so with the little bit of coke that I've got, let's smelt a little bit of tetrahydrate to get an initial cutting axe. Yeah, one of the reasons why I never to cook plum helmets is you get the seeds back if you brew with it, but you do not get the seeds back if you cook with it. So you'll run out of plump helmets if you cooked your plump helmets. But if you brew your plump helmets, you'll never run out. Because it recycles. So you got to be careful what to cook. In fact, let's go back to the standing orders, because I probably still have other standing orders like that I still haven't got yet to do. So you got to make sure that you that we don't cook our alcohol either, because that would be a bit of a problem. And we'll run out of alcohol. Oh, so now we have giant sparrows out here. No elephants. That changed quickly. And let's make sure that we mine out this area sooner, because I want to get dining room and bedrooms. Once we have the axe, and it looks like we already have the materials for it. So, weapons. I should have copper now. Let's go to bars. Yep, 4 copper bars. Weapon, copper. I could do battle axe, but I'm just trying to think of other things that I didn't bring with me that I might want. So I don't usually prepare carefully. And therein lies the problem. So let's forge a copper battle axe. I could also, yeah. I mean, let's do that as high priority. And then I'm also going to set up some new work details. So weaponsmithing is going to be its own. So that way The weaponsmith builds up specific skill. We'll also do armorsmith. And it's going to be the same individual, but still. It's going to be really important that we have someone working on that specific skill. So, if we go to the labor now, only selected, only Asab does weapon and armor smithing. Getting a whole lot of plump helmet spawns put into the ground. That's good. So, soon we will be cutting these trees. Think of it as just extra hard mode, I suppose. All right, they're getting a little bit tired. But I don't have the wood to make. I mean, they're sleeping just like in the farm or whatever. We'll fix it. We'll fix it. Oh, yeah, you can see the farm coming up. Yeah, just a giant sparrow so far. We got to keep an eye on what fauna is out there, because it's going to get dangerous over time pretty quickly, I suspect. Oh, we're already cutting some trees. Perfect. So that means I'm going to set up another work detail. And you guessed it, it's going to be for beds. So make bed 1 when we have less than 10 and logs are greater than 10. And we'll get the carpenter on that. The woodworker, as far as specific labors go, I will add a new work detail of carpentry. Why not? So one might note that our food is going down pretty quickly. It's going to be really hard to hunt sparrows, especially given that I don't really have the weaponry to do so. What I will try to do is attempt fishing again. I'm going to lock the fisher dwarf in that they only can do fishing. And then I'm going to put the farmer also on planting and plant gathering. Although I don't suspect there's going to be any plants to gather given the biome. But we'll see. One person is thrilled to be here. Who is that? I'm really curious. It is the peasant. Okay. The combat peasant's like, oh yeah, let me at him. Talking about, of course, the undead. So something else that I'm going to want fairly early on. I guess adjacent to the carpentry, because I don't think I'm going to have more than just like one carpenter, maybe 2 at most. I'll put a second carpenter down, but I don't think I'm going to have more than 2. Same with these stone working. So then on the other side, let's put a mechanic. I'll put that next to carpentry. Can you name dwarves? Sort of, but there are bugs that will remove the names as well. So they can be named, but they will also be unnamed. Who are you fighting? I don't even know. Oh, you dropped a tree on your head. Cheerio. Glad that I have a Darwin Award person in our midst. I'm very pleased by that. Dwarf Darwin. I was like, I'm pretty sure there's no one that should be fighting right now, but, you know. Yep. So there is some lungfish on the map. That's good. We'll be able to cook that. So let's get some kitchens up. And a brewer. So let's go with farming. Fishery. Put that there. I'll make it out of rambutan. A kitchen. You guessed it, also out of rambutan. And then a still and another still. I probably don't need 2 stills to start. I'll start with just the one. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Let's fix that. It's supposed to be stairs. So opposite the other one farm, I'm just going to put in another farm. Most of our food is probably going to come from farming and not hunting, given the difficulty it will be to hunt what's out there. So, gotta get my farming. Every plant here, I believe, is dead, much thanks to the local necromancers. And it looks like, yeah, the animals that we're getting here are constantly changing. That's good. All right. So the fishery is going to be preparing raw fish constantly. And then let's check the standing orders for the kitchen again to see if we have... Oh yeah, we have raw mussels to cook. Perfect. So I'm going to make easy meals repeatedly. I'm sure this is going to cancel because we're going to run out. And then I'm also going to want to start to make barrels and the like. So I'm going to make wooden barrels. I'll make 3 when I have less than 10 empty barrels. I'm actually going to make that less than 20 empty barrels. And then I'm also going to want bins. So wooden bins, same deal. Make 3 when I have less than 20. Get lots of bins and barrels. Bins and barrels are needed. Then the stoneworker, I am going to have them start making goblets, or rather, what are they called out of stone? I want them to make coffers as well. But mugs. But I'll need craft stores for that. So let's get a craft dwarf station. In fact, 2 of them. And then for the mechanic, I'm going to make some rock mechanisms out of bauxite. And that's going to be for the drawbridge. For the carpenter, I'm also going to want doors. I'm going to make them out of wood. I will do 1 door when doors are less than 10. So we have a lot of carpentry queued up. And then for mugs, I'll do that as well. Make rock mug. Make it out of microcline. Make 1 of them when empty mugs is less than, let's say, 20. No requirement on the microcline amount. I don't really care. Use it all if you need to. Thank you for tuning in to Dwarf Fortress Cryptguards, which originally streamed live on Twitch, February 21st. As it says in the video's description, I am not looking for feedback about this series, and in fact this series is a one-off of 7 episodes only, and I will not be returning to it. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my gaming community, Rhadamant.com also has a link to Discord, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream of some other game. Farewell, my fellow dwarves,